The bustle from outside of my carriage is what wakes me, a yawn brushing past my lips as I push myself up to get ready for another day of sitting in a carriage and traveling. Fun! I couldn't help but grumble at escapes as I idly run a hand through my messy hair, detangling as much as possible before just calling it a day and giving up. Poking my head through the entrance of the tent, I look around in confusion towards the multiple soldiers passing by. My being nearly jumping out of my skin when a loud, severely audible snore sounds off from my right. Kirishima sits on the wooden bench, arms crossed over his chest with his head tilted downwards, and as another snore flutters past his open mouth, I can't help but snort at the sight of it. "Hey, you better not still be sleeping in there," a voice angrily shouts, forcing the blonde eyes to snap open as he sat up and scrambled to escape his sleeping bag. "I'm not, I'm awake," he defends, black spots appearing in his vision from standing too quickly and nearly falling over as he hurriedly fixed his attire and stumbled out of the tent. With clear bedhead, Dinky looks around, sending a nervous smile and wave towards the other soldier who had yelled at him, causing the man to roll his eyes. "Make sure you get all packed up. We're leaving in a bit," he informs, gaze catching onto a small group lingering near the snuffed-out bonfire before the night. "Yes, sir." Denki's voice breathes in, a sigh, slouching in his posture before turning to his tent. Running his hand through his short hair in an attempt to detangle the mess, he moved to packing up, folding all of his stuff together before slinging it in his bag over his shoulder and heading off. Most of the camp had already been packed up from the looks of it, everyone already heading off to throw everything into their respective wagons to leave, and with a short walk through the woods, the soldier makes it, tossing his bag into the storage part before using his hands off. "Wait, Denki!" Someone's question behind the blonde, his body turning to meet the owner of the voice with an equal amount of confusion. Sarah?" He answers, earning a still completely confused and slightly panicked look from the black-haired soldier. "What are you doing here?" "Where's the noble?" With furrowed brows, Denki blinks, now more confused over as he realizes Sarah's words are freaked out. "What do you mean, where's the noble? Wasn't it your shift to guard her?" He argues. "No, we switched our schedule because Kirishima wanted to take the first shift." After a pause, the two made eye contact before snapping their heads in the direction of the camp, and bolting off. "What if she got attacked in the middle of the night?" Sarah calls as he ducks under the tree branch with Dinky in tow. "If something like that happened, I'm telling them it's your shift," the blonde argues, gaining a glare from his comrade. "You wouldn't. I would." "Kirishima," I whisper shouted, poking the soldier's cheek with my index finger. Right now, he laid soundly, on the floor, still snoring away as if this was a vacation and he wouldn't get in trouble if he's caught sleeping on the job. In my attempt to wake him, I had accidentally shaken his shoulder a bit too harshly and shoved him off the bench he had been sitting upright in. Thankfully, the full campsite was a few trees away, so there was not a big chance he was seen sleeping earlier. But that doesn't accept the fact that he should be awake right now. Plus, from my perspective, it seemed the bustling had calmed down, so that could mean one or two things. They had finished loading up for the day's travel, or everyone's been suspiciously quiet for some apparent reason, and I'm leaning heavily towards the theory of one at the moment. Crouching at his side, I reach out again, stifling my index finger to poke at his face a few more times before giving up. He doesn't seem to want to wake up anytime soon, so I stand, grumbling as I walk off towards the tree line and stamp off a few small twigs. And within a few seconds after returning, I raise my hand and sling a small piece of nature down, rocking one of his exposed abs. For a moment, his face seems to stir, and I take this method seems to be working, so I whack him again. The twig snaps once it comes in contact with the skin, my eyes widening in shock when his side shifts to become jagged and cracked, looking before returning to its original state. "Whoa," I breathed, crouching down to inspect what had happened. "This is his quirk, right?" I wondered, jabbing at the suddenly softened skin yet again. And suddenly, he jolts, upper body lunging upwards as his eyes snap down. "Oh, hey, Karu." My voice grows loud as he turns, grabbing my wrist and hooking his leg behind mine. With the sudden force, I'm sent off balance and fall onto my back, my eyes squeezing shut when I made eye contact with the ground with a few weight on me. A very, very heavy weight. Ow, 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 I muttered, blinking as the dirt that had been kicked up dismissed, whisking away from my vision and leaving a terribly serious-looking crimson soldier behind. The sun brushes over his back, his shadow covering me as he stares, and after a moment, blinks, realization falling onto his features before his eyes are suddenly widened with worry. Crap, I didn't know it was you, he hollers, quickly letting my arm go and leaning to get his weight off of me as quickly as possible. If anything, I've never seen a soldier or anyone stand up so quickly as he does, and not letting me get another word as he grabs and pulls me up with him. I'm standing again, while he dusts off my arms and dress, patting down the fabric to remove as much dirt as possible. Once he has finished, he glances up at me, face scrouching when he looks over my face. You've got some... His voice trails off as he taps his cheek. Lifting my own hand, my brows furrowed in confusion as I wipe at my own cheek, attempting to mirror his emotions. No, a little to the left. Yeah, there. I deadpan, dropping my hand once he is indicated I had gotten it. Wait, sorry, I don't move when he leans in, brushing his fingers over my cheek and lightly ridding anything else that could be there from my face, but leaving my cheeks to end in a blush from previous contact and closeness, and got it. He beams, stepping back to give me some space while he dusts off his hands with a various smile on his face. Great, now that's taken care of, I stated, clasping my hands together and attempting to hide the heat that was very much still dancing across my face. I was about to scold him about the problem at hand when someone comes bursting through the tree lines directly behind me. Snapping my head around to look at the intruder, or intruders, my other two guards finally decide to show up, nearly tripping as they came to a stop a few feet away from us. There you two are, I stated, crossing my arms over my chest as I turned to fully face the two. Would one of you like to explain why the guard behind me was the only one to stay and do his job at all last night? I wondered, a passive-aggressive tone filling my words. The two, though being taller, seemed to shrink in their spots, sending nervous glances towards each other in hopes the other would either take the fall or explain their part of the story. After a few hundred apologies later, and the laborer of the two now walking behind me, they managed to take the tent down and pack everything up. Kirishima trots a few feet away in front of me, pushing branches aside and making sure I don't trip over anything as we venture through the woods. When he makes it out, everyone else was saddling up. I quickly command the other two to throw my stuff in the storage compartment before getting onto their horses. And while they are busy doing that, Kirishima leads me to the carriage side, pulling the door open, and just like all the times before, he reaches out for my hand and I gladly take it. Sorry I fell asleep on the job, he whispers, and I step up the stairs, my movements pausing for a second, and not to make it obvious talking to him, I don't turn when I whisper back. Did you get enough sleep at least? I questioned as I entered, and he lets go of my hand, my gaze looking down at him as he smiles and nods. Safe travels, my lady, before closing the door with a small click. Sitting near the window, I pull back the curtains just a bit and glance outwards, the crimson soldier horse coming up to the side where I caught his eyes with mine. The commander at the front calls out, making sure everything was ready to go before we started to move. And, funny enough, when my carriage starts moving, he doesn't, my hand coming up to wave at him as we depart, and I'm pulling the curtain back into place. I hear him get yelled at for not moving, and another snicker finds its way past my lips as we start on another long day of boring travel.